What's happening, guys? Welcome back to episode 18. Picking up from Anor Londo. So before we get started, at the end of last episode, I did mention we are at the point of the game where enemies are starting to become worth quite a bit as far as souls. You have a lot of spells and rings to buy, so in your own time, it is worth farming these guys and knocking all those spells off your list. On top of that, just knocking all the rings off your list and going NPC to NPC at the Firelink Shrine, just clearing all that stuff out. So that's what I did, and I suggest you guys do the same. So your spells should be looking something like that. Then obviously with your rings, should be looking, slap full if you've done all the content and cleared out all of your NPCs. Now there's still a few pyromancies to get, and then we have Arena, which we're holding off for good reason, but we have made quite a bit of progress. So just to kind of let you guys know where we're at. So moving into Anor Londo, this is a pretty small optional area, very rewarding, a lot of really good things here, but it doesn't really take that long to go through. This is actually going to be our last optional area before we get started on this push towards the end game, right? That's where in-game, if you're enjoying the game so far, in-game is really big, but everything after this point is, pushing that way. So we do want to make sure we get all this wrapped up. That way we don't have to worry about anything left behind us, right? So this was one of the farms we showed you at the end of the last episode to help buy your spells. These guys are worth, what, 2,500. Now, I think I have on, no, I don't even have on the silver ring. Okay. So even without your ring boosted soul acquisition, you're still looking pretty good. So first things first, we're going to actually go, oh, there it is. We're going to go and work the right side before we go to the left. So that's the main door. It has to be unlocked from within, as you may imagine. So this guy's going to be a red-eye knight. They're quite a bit beefier than what you're used to. I mean, their damage is absolutely absurd. He hits you with like a light attack with his lightning buff. He's doing like 80% of your health. It's astronomical, to be honest. You want to be really cautious, try to work those charged heavies and just keep pushing them back. Once you got him, Soul of Crestfallen Knight. Look at that view. Isn't that wild? You gotta love Dark Souls, man. No one does it the same. No one does it the same, man, I swear. But either way, that's going to clear your right-hand side. So now from here, we're going to push all the way to the other end. Now, all in all, there's not really much happening outside. There's just a few good items, as these are probably the bigger soul items you found up till now. So this lower section is not going to have anything at all. You have to check it out if you want. There's no need. So as we go in, the far left-hand side is going to give you access. This is a blast from the past if you played Dark Souls. He used to be a friendly NPC, and now he is a dead one. However, he does give us a giant coal, allowing you to infuse your weapon with lightning and, more elements focused around faith builds. So when you go in here, there's a few ways you could proceed. Doesn't matter, as long as you do, a big loop around and get everything. You could either go into the left and go down, or you can go to the right and wrap around. So what I like to do is just kind of go down. I'm not going to proceed all the way, but just to get all these guys knocked out, so later we don't have to deal with them. And you see, they're pretty annoying. Thank you. Come here, fat boy. There you go. All right. Keep on pushing. We'll get him. Then we're going to backtrack. Like I said, this is just to clear the enemies so we don't have to worry about even touching these stairs once we get all the way back down. Because then it's kind of tedious. You have to go back up and there's nothing really to get. So instead, we're just going to take them out. Then we're going to go down the far right-hand side. And he says, it's a pretty small area all in all. There's not that much going on. In fact, it'd be a pretty short episode. But there's a very difficult boss fight, rings, and just really good items. Now, with that being said, as soon as you go down, straight off the stairs, you're going to see a few Deacons of the Deep. Now, with that, right behind them is the main boss. So we don't want to take out the boss, but we're going to try to do this in one swift run. So let's go ahead and get these guys down. We don't have to worry about it. So like I said, that's your boss right there, but we don't want to touch this. Now, there's going to be a lot of your little blobbies here. Remember, they hate fire. I would recommend taking them out for the simple fact that you guys know if they just bump into you and nudge you, you can't get attacks off. We have to fight a very difficult enemy here in a second. So we want to make sure that they're not going to cause us any more bullshit. Your pyromancy spells will do a lot more damage if you want to use it. Like, it's probably one shot. Like that. Save you a little bit of time. They're just getting out of our way because they're, pretty annoying. 16 embers. We'll go ahead and ember up. I'm going to try not to use these more than I have to. However, sometimes you just, you kind of need to. Okay, get him. And that brings you full circle. So when you go over, if you guys remember that really big spider of Cathedral of the Deep, it's almost like Cathedral of the Deep 2.0, at the end of the day. All the same enemy types, the elite enemies are the same, you got Deacons of the Deep, and a lot of the same gimmicks and enemies and everything, it does remind you a lot of that. But I bring that up to tell you that the big spider guy we fought in Cathedral of the Deep has got a spawn right here. Now, your lever is over there to the left-hand side, right? If you pull this lever and ignore him, what's going to happen is you're going to miss out on a ring. It's one of those instances where you have to kill the enemy first before you get past him, or you will miss out on items. Similar to when we came into Irrital, if you guys remember. You didn't fight the big guy on the bridge, you missed out on that ring. So same thing here. Like I said, we're just going to clear the path a bit. I don't have enough mana for that. Thank you, kind sir. Alright, now there should be a chest. Yep, it's so hard to see this one too. Alright, I thought it was safe, but I could not remember. I didn't mark it in my notes. So that's going to get your Estus shards. So we do got to take this guy out. Like I said, your lever's right there if you want to ignore him, but you're going to miss another Aldrich ring. So we'll try not to. See if we can sneak up on him. Remember, if you pop him right on the head, you'll probably stagger him. Gotta be like a few times. And then we're also really, really concerned with the curse, right? If it starts to curse you, just back up, run away, let that, phase out a little bit. There we go. A little close, but we got him. Aldrich's Ruby, this is going to give you health back on critical attacks, similar to how the first one gave you mana back on critical attacks. Now we can pop our doors safely. Now, although I tell you guys, make sure, you're careful about your resources. I would recommend being embered up here for the boss. Also, I think we want to remove that, don't we? So there's a NPC quest where you're able to summon right here. And then a NPC will bring you in to fight the boss, and then she'll help you fight the boss. But it's really inconsistent, I've noticed. I know that we've done everything as far as quests and NPCs and all that, but sometimes the summon sign doesn't show up. So let's check it out after we rest. Now, being part of certain covenants could throw that off. I want to say it's Siri. But we know we've done good with Siri. We've completed our whole quest line. Like I said, it's just really inconsistent, right? It doesn't always show up. It's not a need to do thing. Just so you guys know, there's no items. It's more of just allowing you to get help for the fight. Alright, come on, guys. I'm trying to double check something here. You're so fucking annoying. Knocking me out of special attacks. So I said, you gotta make sure to get one down before the other gets involved. That worked. God, dude. Jesus, just to go down like a punk when you get hit, Alright, let's get our drops. Now I want to go in and double check this. Like I said, this invasion event is very, how can we say, like I said, inconsistent. So there should be a summon sign right here, and there's not, right? So I don't know why it happens sometimes and it doesn't others. Just doesn't really make sense. The only thing that can mess it up is if you don't do quest lines, and we have. That's what I'm saying. We've done them all. There's not a single quest line we have not completed and completed the right way, no matter how obscure it may be. So, some sun should have been here. It's not. It's okay. Now, it could have something to do with covenants. You know, maybe that's why. Yeah. But that's the only thing I could think of. Now, heading back in. Let's check. See, this is not important. It's just me not want to miss anything. Alright, so as we head back in, if these guys want to follow us, we'll put them down. I want to make sure we can actually talk about the boss. Alright. So from here, we're really just going to run straight for the boss. So this is how it's going to go. I would recommend being embered up for this fight. This is Aldrich of the Deep. Now, Aldrich is a mage. He's very ghostly. He's like has this long cape. His body almost looks like a big worm out the back where he's coming out of the ground. So he is weak to fire, and you want to try to target him. He's going to do a few things to look out for. If he fires a arrow into the sky, this will make it rain arrows for a long fucking time. Or a long time, way too long. So when he does this, you can block with your shield, but there's also going to be pillars like this you could hide behind. So that's what we want to do, just hide behind a pillar, ride that out. A lot of just regular purple magic projectiles that'll chase you down. He can send out big arcs of magic. This will usually come twice, so watch out for that. But we're essentially just running around, avoiding all of his stuff, and putting damage off when we can. Aside from this, in phase 2, he's going to pull out another weapon, which will also do big AoEs of fire if you're too close to him. And if you're beating on him and he's about to teleport, the black smoke that pops up can also hurt you. But the main essence of this fight is just run around, avoid everything you can, then get, probably charged heavies would be your best bet, I would assume. There's one here, one there, running around, positioning yourself in between. Because the fact of the matter is there's a lot going on. There's always spells happening. Always, always, always. So he's going to start with his spear. Oh, then he went right for the arrow, of course he did. So just get right over here. Yeah, so later in the fight, that goes on for much longer. Early on, it's not too bad, but later in the fight, this goes on forever. Now, like I said, we're just trying to look for these openings. You can really, put that damage on quick. Now, you see that black smoke when he teleports? So this is going to send him to another part of the arena. See the fire I was talking about? A lot of dodging, a lot of just trying to get in position, as I've recently stated. Big charge heavy hits. So I put that damage off. He teleports again. And we're dealing in between because, as mentioned, damage output is not a joke. Now, if he does the big magic projectiles right here, comes twice. And I don't even think the pillars will save you during that. Oh, you son of a biscuit. That's right. Now, phase 2, I pull out a shield because it goes on forever. And the banisters, the columns aren't always enough to save you. Running from projectiles. Heal. Big swipe. Just get where his tail end is if you can. Back that fire. Watch out. Yeah, really got to manage your stamina as well. But as you see, it's not that bad. You're just constantly moving, and he's constantly running like the coward he is, so to speak. Be careful. Oh, you shit. As I said, aim for his little tail end there, because his top half moves around so well. Now, this fight doesn't seem that bad. There was a point where this fight gave me the most shit, dude. I could not get past this guy. I switched up weapon types, I've tried different things, tried different approaches, and I've always played it the same way. I just have gotten better at it, I guess. But yeah, this fight used to be really, really rough to me, to say the least. Isn't that creepy? The floor. Ugh, what is that? I don't even want to know. Alright. So, with him taken out, you are wrapped up with Anor and Londo. However, there is a little bit more going on here. That's what I said. It's going to be a short episode. This is a really small area. I wanted to try to fit it in the tail end of last episode, but we just didn't have the time. We need to ride this on up. There are no other items over here to to worry about. You guys can go check it out if you want. It's just a bunch of empty space at the end of the day. And there you go. Some Princess free. So with that, we are good to jump on out. Let's go on back to Firelink before we head on over to the Distant Manor. So we were going to pick up next episode with the Distant Manor, but there is like a little transitional zone leading to our next location. So we'll go ahead and knock that out. We're only like 15 minutes in here, so try to make the best use of our time. Look at that, 100,000 souls. That's crazy that you get that much. I think I only had like 10,000 left over. Look at that. That completely finishes up health. I think 30 is a good spot. If you're a newer player and you're going for like a strictly one stat build, like just strength or just dex, go to 40 for sure, right? But for us doing quality, I think 30 is okay. Look at us when we're embered up. Our health bar's almost touching their side of my TV, So even without that, your health is fine. I think it's plenty. But yeah, obviously if you're struggling, 35 health even could go a long way. How short are we? We can't be that short. 6,000. A little short. Now, I'm going to pop his boss soul, so we'll be able to, get more... A few more levels with that. Maybe one. Because I'm not interested in what he has. But he does have some really interesting things, depending on your build. So if you were doing a faith build, 22 faith requirement for a faith build is not bad, right? Still health of foes using an illusionary sight. That's the same sight he was using. Only takes up one spell slot for nice spells. Really really dope too. But it just does a really big swipe, stealing health and doing damage. So what's not to love? Then aside from that, you also have the Dark Moon longbow. I said before, there's not many great bows or longbows in this game. You have the Dragon Rider, the Dragon Slayer, and then you have Dark Moon. Off the top of my head, that's really it. Range of 50 feet. Critical 100, as most weapons are, but you're getting physical and magic. So 10 ant requirement, 16 dex. Everybody has 7 strength, I would figure. C scaling and intelligence. So it's mainly for intelligence builds. It gets hardly any scaling at dex, but this is unupgraded, so it's just going to improve, right? So for those intelligence builds, melee ant builds, someone that's probably using like Greatsword of Judgment, I think that's a pretty nice offhand weapon for range. But it doesn't really make sense because mages have range abilities, they have spells, so it's just one of those things. But either way, with that, I'm going to go ahead and pop her soul. At least get one level here. Getting pretty pricey at this point. So we're looking really good, guys. 30 health, 25 endurance, 25 vitality. So these are done. That's done. If I get extra levels later in the game, we will. But from this point forward, we're trying to reach 40 strength and 40 dex. This is important because once you get to 40, that's where you're scaling super nice. This is not a game like Elden Ring where you're going to get 60-60 by in-game doing, hybrid build. So once you get 40 strength, you're going to get more damage going from dex if you're using a quality weapon by far. So that's going to be our goal. That's only 15 levels here. And then, a little bit more there, 22. But it's really possible. On my character, I used taking notes of the series. Once I got to 30, 25, 25, and I was ready to go into damage, I wasn't this soon in the game. I was a little bit after this point. Like, I don't know, 2 areas later. So I feel like we're in a really good spot, moving forward. We're looking good. So from here, we're going to jump on back to Distant Manor. Like I said, we can't start our next area. It's a pretty extensive area. It has a lot going on. But we can work the transitional zone and, get there to the bonfire. So that's what our plan is. So as soon as we go from Irithel Valley, or I'm sorry, Distant Manor, we're going to head on down. And Irithel Dungeon will be our next spot. So we will break down what exactly this means at the start of next episode when we start doing the area. But we're going to go ahead and clear all this stuff out. So there's a little bit of a gank trap almost immediately. You notice these guys are trying to run away from you. That's because right here is another Pontiff Knight. Not the fight they used to be, that's for sure. One. Thank you. And you got Big Bro. Remember, he's really only a threat from range once you get close. Obviously, he has the grab attack, but aside from that, he's not really gonna, give you much shit. He's worked quite a bit, too. If you can get his halberd to drop, it's dope, man. It's like for a quality pyromancer, it gets skilling in every single damage stat. If you're under, pole arms, get Lars Titanite. So before moving forward from this point, make sure you're embered, which you probably are if you just took out Aldrich, because there is an invasion event that will trigger right here. Now, this does get you a weapon, really big, great curve sword. It's quite nice for dex builds, quality builds. Now, he's going to spawn right in this doorway. So when he goes in, I don't think he's got one combo that's will mess your shit up, but I don't think he's particularly that dangerous. I'd be surprised if he even gets a hit off. Look at this. Locking him down. That's why we recommend the build we do, guys, right? So taking him down is going to get you Mirakumu. Like I said, nice curved sword. It doesn't have blood loss, which they usually do. Aside from that, it's just a solid choice, which you could infuse or buff with whatever you like. And with that, we have made it to the Irritable Dungeon. So as previously mentioned, from here on out, this is everything's pushing towards the end game. So that's kind of the areas we're reaching. So obviously, you can't expect the difficulties to step up and the items to get better and so on and so forth. But that's kind of what we're getting into from this point forward. I'd say that this is late mid game if I was to make a claim. But with that, we are going to go ahead and wrap on up. So you guys stay tuned. Please subscribe for more walkthrough, and we'll catch you back here next episode with what I'm sure is going to be your favorite area of the game.